Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reiki Radio. I am your host, Yolanda, and I want to wish you, first of all, happy October and happy full moon. So, today we have, as always, a very interesting conversation. I sat down with a couple named Susanna and Puran, and they are going to share with us something that is very powerful and quite simple. I will get to that in just a moment. But before we begin, I just want to make sure that you are aware of what is upcoming. There are so many classes that will be starting in October with various Reiki teachers. So if you go to the website, thereikiclass.com, and you scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, you will find the upcoming classes and events for October. Now, while you're there, of course, you can look all around the site and see what other offerings there are, resources. There are some free downloads. There are ways to connect with teachers and practitioners globally. So you may even be able to find some classes in your area. And of course, there are classes that you can take online. So, in addition to that, I want to let you know that in November, we are having the very first Reiki class masterclass weekend. So, I will be joined with some of the hosts from Awakening Airwaves, and we will have 3 full days, 9 classes, where you will be able to come and join us live. It's a live event so that you can ask your questions, interact. You're going to be guided through 9 different master classes over a 3-day period. So the excitement around this, of course, is that you can attend live online, or you can watch the recordings and watch it all again or for the first time at your own convenience. So be sure to register for the Reiki Class Summit. It starts on November 21st and goes through November 23rd. Mark your calendar. It's going to be a lot of fun. There are some classes in there, actually, I'm excited to take myself. So you can find the link to that down in the show description. And then, of course, I have Intuitive Mastery, which is a live online class that will start November 5th. And it is a 12-week class. This is something that has been for years now one of my number one online classes, although I don't teach it live every year. So if you want to join Intuitive Mastery Live, you can register for that right away. Or if you want to spend an entire year with me being guided through practices, exercises, group mentoring, and that includes intuitive mastery, you want to register for the Alchemy Circle. So registration is open now, but it will close November 5th, so that anyone who is joining the Alchemy Circle for all of 2026, you can start with Intuitive Mastery, which begins this November. So the link for that is down in the show description as well. And I'm really excited for the group of people that I will get to work with for an entire year. So that is it. That is everything I wanted to catch you up with. Of course, always go to my website for updates. Again, go to the Reiki Class website for updates, and you can follow everything on social media. I am trying to post and give you reminders on all of the platforms. But I want to thank you so much for being here. And I really did enjoy this conversation. So it was my first time meeting Susanna and Puran, and they have devoted their lives to helping individuals improve their physical and emotional health by focusing on the heart. So they teach a method called heart rhythm meditation, which brings your heartbeat and your breathing into sync. So Puran and Susanna are authorities on this practice, which was originally introduced to the Western world by by a Indian musician and mystic named Hazrat Inayat Khan. However, Susanna and Puran have taken it far deeper in their own work and in their two books called Living from the Heart, A Guide to Heart Rhythm Meditation, and their other book called Energize Your Heart in Four Dimensions. So, using their interpretations of Hazrat Sufi teachings and integrating evidence based research, they have created a life changing method of heart centered meditation. Again, it's called the Heart Rhythm Meditation. And together they have trained thousands of practitioners, teachers, mentors, healers, and retreat guides around the world. You can learn more about their work at iamheart.org. That's iamheart.org. Of course, the link will be down in the show description. I hope you enjoy this conversation as always, and I will see you on the other side. Okay, everyone, today we have two special guests here on Reiki Radio. We have Susanna and Puran Bair, and I'm very interested in your work, so I'm glad that you're here to share with us today. Thank you for taking time.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting us.
Exciting to be with you, Yolanda.
Yes, it is very exciting because your work, actually, I've never heard of this before. And I just want to point out, you do have two books that you all have authored called Living from the Heart, A Guide to Heart Rhythm Meditation, and Energize Your Heart in Four Dimensions. So in reading about your work, I was very curious if you could first share with us, what is this about? Where did this concept come from with matching our heartbeat with our breath?
Well, we both, Puran and I, we come from a tradition. We had a spiritual teacher that we both dearly loved, and that's how we met. And he asked us to create a new chapter of the work. And this new chapter of the work for us is all about the heart. It was already hinted towards, but it was not very well worked out. And what our interest is about heart rhythm meditation is to create a meditation that really helps us being in the here and now and also connects with the all and everywhere. Mm. The heartbeat is the first sound that we hear in the mother's womb. Yeah. Right? And it's the first organ that is being created in the mother's womb. And so all babies and children hold on to the heartbeat till they're about the age 6. Mm. When education starts, we lose the connection to the heart. And some people have a lot of problems connecting with the heart. And we learned that the heart is the most important organ in our body. And Puran, we will talk more about this. But in all meditation, we need the breath. Mm-hmm. And we found when you coordinate breath and heartbeat, there is an incredible power there. Because the heart is like an anchor in meditation. When you sit down and start breathing, and we use a very specific breath that we can talk about more, but when you connect those two, because the breath has a rhythm, the heart has a rhythm. They have different rhythms. And those are the two biological clocks in our physical body. And by connecting those, you come to this incredible power and rhythm and strength inside. And that comes really through the connection of the two. And the heart has a voice. The heart has a purpose imprinted in itself. And the heart has a great field and can connect you with the whole universe and much further. So that is, in essence, why we do heart rhythm meditation.
It's really beautiful. You make me think of how nowadays they have these heart simulators for babies. So after they're born, you can buy this machine that'll mimic a heartbeat to give children comfort, and why that would be soothing to us. But also curious, because I know with breath work, a lot of times we may use it to intentionally kind of pace the rhythm of our system. So is there kind of a dance between how we use the breath to pace the heart, or are we is there like a perfect pitch of your heartbeat, so to speak?
That's interesting. Well, we know that the way you breathe affects the heart rate. You can actually slow the heart by breathing slowly. So there's a mechanism, a biological mechanism, that by which the breath rate controls the heart rate. And actually there are two such mechanisms. So you can't control the heart directly, but you can control it through your breath. And what we want is a heartbeat which is lower, like more around as it is when you're in you're fit, when you're athletically fit, you have a slower heart rate. But also we want a heart rate which is making a nice smooth curve. You see, when the heart is exactly on time, like if you had exactly one heartbeat every second, that would be bad. Because the heart rate is supposed to be a little bit off. There's a wiggle in the heart rate. And that wiggle is important. It's called heart rate variability, HRV. And HRV has become very popular these days. People have referred to it even in diet books and all kinds of fitness books, because this variability in the heart rate is an indicator of your emotional wellness. The variability in the heart rate encodes, that is, it holds inside itself the emotion that you're holding at the moment. Wow. So you could see on a computer screen, if you graph the heart rate, it's not going to be even. It's not going to be like a flat line in time, like the same heartbeat rate every moment. The heart rate's going to go up, it's going to go down, and we want that to happen smoothly in time with the breath. Now, as soon as you have some anxiety, the heart rate goes crazy. It's not smooth anymore. It's not in time with the breath. It's on its own. And when people are anxious or afraid or are stressed, their heart rate does sort of abnormal things. Right. And it's very hard on the heart.
And Yolanda, you mentioned right a moment ago that it's wonderful that the breath has an effect on the heart. The breath is something that we really can regulate. The heart does whatever it does, our mind does whatever it does, and our emotions do whatever they do. And most of the time we're all afraid of emotions. We want to have them under control. Now, what we do is we teach a certain way of breathing. I mentioned this earlier, because for having an effect through the breath on the heart, we need to make our breath slow, full, and deep. So those are three qualities. And the way we make the breath slow, full, and deep, we use a body-centered breath where we move the abdominal muscles. So when we exhale deeply, we squeeze those muscles, and by squeezing those muscles, the diaphragm muscle gets pushed and pushes all the air out of us. And you get a very slow, deep breath. And when we inhale, we open our abdominal muscle, make them very wide, vast, like a balloon, and open up the rib cage. And you breathe through full maximum strength. And that changes over time. For some people, particular women, they have a hard time moving the abdominal muscles because, we are not supposed to have bellies. So we hold the muscles all the time in, and now we get the instructions, when you inhale, open up and make a big balloon. And they say, how do you do that? So I have heard this often. And one needs to give it time just to learn this slow, deep, full breath, because that is the key to calming the heart and calming the emotions. That goes right hand in hand. So that's a very important little technique to learn in breathing.
Yeah, with what both of you are saying, a couple of things come to mind. One, with what you mentioned, Puran, it reminds me of how if we learn how to consciously breathe, it's interesting to think that that is what helps us regulate emotionally
Yeah.
over the mind.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times we think if I want to manage my emotions, you know, I don't know, we try to think our way through it, but our minds will often create more chaos around whatever the emotion is. And as simple as it sounds, something like learning how to breathe in a particular way, that it can soften the system. But then even to what you say too, Susanna, reminds me that thinking of when people hyperventilate and they breathe into a bag, or when women are in labor and they learn Lamaze, like everything, it's just interesting what you're saying. I think we often overlook how powerful breathing or knowing how to breathe consciously can be. So I'm just curious, before we go deeper into the work, how did the two of you come into this individually? Were you looking to create a change in your life? What was the catalyst that even got you on this path?
Well, for me, I was very early on in my life very interested in how people work, you know, but because people are so different, you know, like some people get very angry and throw stuff, or some people drink a lot, and you're like these grown-ups, you know. As a child, I was like, these grown-ups are just so unbelievable, so outrageous in their ways. And I wanted to understand that better. So I studied clinical psychology, and there you really get into it, you know. And I worked in Vienna, at the University of Vienna in Austria, and I was just very disappointed from the field when it was all medication. And I did not see that the people were empowered to change out of themselves. It was all medication, as I said. So I wanted to move further, and make the long story short, I ended up in America. And in America, I tested, because I meditated already then, did yoga and stuff. But when you really want to test your method, whatever it is, you go into a foreign country with a different language, with a different culture, no family, hardly any friends, you know, expose yourself, right? Well, I exposed myself and did not go easy. I ended up teaching German to an opera singer, and he said, you know, Susanna, you really need help. And I'm like, I was full of myself. I don't need help. I'm teaching you German, right? So I was really full of myself, but I hardly could breathe anymore. I had this cough, and I was up at night, and I just tried to hold it all together. He said, it's okay, Susanna. Come with me and meet my teacher. So I did. And in Boston at Harvard University, there was my teacher, Hazrat Inayat Khan. And I knew that was my teacher. This, whatever he does, could help me. Mm-hmm. And so this is what I did. And then I met later on Puran, and he asked us then together to create a new school.
Wow.
Well, that was a challenge, Yolanda. But 40 years later, here we are, and we got the school together quite well. We are quite proud of what we do at this point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And yes, and we're going to talk about the school as well and what you all offer within that. So how about you, Puran? What led you here?
My background is science, and in particular computer science, which means mathematics and physics, basically. Mm-hmm. And so I was very interested in measuring things and finding out how the body reacts. I had learned a very transcendent method, and I got really good at that. But I felt there was something else, because it wasn't helping my relationships, and it wasn't helping my job. It was making me more spaced out, you know, and detached and indifferent. And equanimity is basically detachment and indifference. So I wanted something that would bring me down, you know, into my heart. And I found this same teacher that Susanna found. And it was just remarkable. I mean, you see, meditation can be divided in different areas. one division is, does the meditation work with consciousness or energy? Our meditation about the heart works with energy. We see consciousness as a byproduct. See, in physics, we say consciousness rides on energy. Energy is like a vibration. Vibrations contain information in their very essence. So if you want to change consciousness, you change energy first. And I'm sure that's what everybody does. It's just that we give that emphasis. We really focus on the energy change, and the consciousness then just comes. Another division in the way in studying different kinds of meditations is, some meditations say don't control the breath, just watch it. It will change on its own, slightly. But other meditations say the way you breathe is your handle on your unconscious. You can change almost everything in yourself by changing the way you breathe. So you want to control the breath. But by controlling it, you have to be careful now, because now you're in charge of something which is very, very powerful. If you just watch it, you see it kind of doesn't have that problem. You can't go wrong. But if you're going to control it, now you have to be careful that you do it slowly. You mentioned hyperventilation, where people breathe too fast. You see, that's like in panic attacks, you breathe really fast, and it doesn't help. It makes you crazy. So you have to really control the breath, and then you're going to control it. How? In which way? What would be the optimum way to control the breath? Well, look for the effect biologically, because the emotional effect will follow. And the biological effect that you want is this regulation, this inner coordination of the rhythms of the body, so that you feel a kind of sense of coming together. Everything comes together.
Yeah. It's really interesting because it points to this, your story anyway, your curiosities of this inherent knowing something within us that we want to have a deeper sense of connection, beyond all the noise and distraction of life. There's always that desire, that knowing. So it's
That's
interesting hearing you say that. But also, I have to ask both of you, because of your backgrounds, I mean, from psychology to being interested in science and physics and mathematics, does it ever blow your mind when you think about, and in the end, we came down to the breath? I mean, because it sounds so simple, even though I know there's depth there. But does it ever blow your mind that this became kind of the point of focus from where you were focused before?
Well, yeah, I think that was really surprising to see the effect that breath can have. But even more exciting to me was the idea of the heart, and how amazing that is. You know, you've heard of Rumi, the poet Rumi. Well, we follow in that tradition. He was in the same line that we have, and he talked about how the heart can be imagined as, like a pool of water, or even a bowl of water, but it can also be imagined as a lake, or as an ocean, or even as something bigger than the world.
Yes.
This heart can be that kind of influence. It can have a little influence or a lot of influence.
Yes.
And that's because the heart is not just a physical organ, it's a magnetic field, right? Every time the heart beats, it sends out a magnetic pulse, because electricity becomes magnetism. That's the physics of it. Yes. And so you're creating these magnetic pulses as your heart beats. And they create waves of energy. And those waves of energy come out of the heart in 3 dimensions. It's all around us. Creating a field of energy of the heart. And that field has no boundary. It doesn't stop.
Yes.
And so we're in each other's field, even at this distance. I don't know where you're actually physically located, but San Diego, that's right. But it doesn't matter where you are, because your field extends everywhere.
That's incredible.
What's interesting too about the heart, Yolanda, it's, as you mentioned in the beginning, we have 2 books out, and it was when we brought out Energize Your Heart, we did a big book tour through all of America. We hit all the big cities, and interestingly, our publisher said, then you should really do the Blue Highways. And so we did the Blue Highways and went a lot into little bookstores and in little towns. And in one of the bookstores, you get usually like 15 people to the new book and stuff. And then walks in a Buddhist monk. And I knew it was a Buddhist monk because he was wearing all his robes. And I said, all right, what do I have to teach a Buddhist monk, right? My little heart rhythm meditation, because all you do is like a 10, 15-minute meditation. So I said, okay, that's what I do. And I did it. And at the end, the Buddhist monk comes to me and says, I really want to thank you for what you're doing. I was really surprised. And I said, I'm really surprised. You have to share with me now what moved you or what was helpful to you. And he said, I have meditated on my heart for 30 years. But I have never focused on my real heart. I said, really? How did you do it? What did you focus on? I mean, everybody has a heart. It's not that difficult. He said, well, I imagined my heart. That is part of our practice. We imagine the heart. Mm-hmm. I said, I said, and so what's the difference in imagining the heart and really looking for your heartbeat, your physical heart? He says, well, when you look for your heartbeat and really feel in the heart, you start feeling your pain. You're feeling your emotions. He says, the imagined heart does not have pain. Wow. That was a revelation to me. I mean, I know from my work that when you focus on your heart, you deal with your emotions, you deal with pain, and you learn how to transform pain with that full, slow, deep breath. But that people work with the imagined heart, I understood then, because we want to avoid the pain. And he said, that's where it's at. That's where it's at. I was like, thank you. Thank you. So these are these little things. And it was a Buddhist monk. So I'm very grateful to this day.
Yeah. Well, I'm very curious as well when you mention this, because in some of the practices, like in the system of Reiki, when we meditate, we're guided to focus our attention into the lower abdomen or lower dantian. And what I notice is when we do, regulate the breath, different than focusing on the heart. I'm just saying focusing even in the lower abdomen. The type of breathing can not only, I'm sure, slow down the heart rate and the system and your nervous system, but the mind also then starts to slow down and drop. And so I'm curious, when you focus in on the heart and you really tune into, I guess, the essence and the rhythm of that, and like you say, you may start to become aware of the emotions that you hold. Is there simultaneously this expansion of mind or a certain type of clarity where then you can view the emotions differently? Do they hold a different kind of texture? Like, how does it change the way we might be in relationship with them?
Big time. Yolanda, if you do the breathing practice the way we describe it, and if you really look for the heartbeat, the mind is so occupied, you have no time of clearing the mind. The mind is not even there because the mind is occupied by helping you to find the body, and to find where do I contract my muscles now? Do they expand? Where is my heartbeat? People are so full. To get this all together takes quite a time. Right. You see? And when people have this together, they feel like, wow, I won the game. Yes. And when you have this feeling that you won the game of, synchronizing breath and heartbeat, because they need to come. What happens then, because the breath is much longer and much more deep, you can count for how many heartbeats do I inhale, for how many heartbeats do I exhale. And you create like internal music inside of yourself, because the rhythm of the body changes and the rhythm of the mind changes. See, the mind is not shut down, but the mind is all of a sudden happy again because it sort of helped to accomplish the synchronization of breath and mind. And that's when the emotion come to the foreground. And you actually need to pay then attention and invite the emotions. Do you see?
Yes.
For some people, they come up very strongly right away, and this is where the breath control helps again, and so it's like a real beautiful inner work. I say it's like a musical experience of orchestra, like where you have the different instruments.
Yes.
The violin is like the brass, the heart is like a drum, the mind gives you a lot, can be like a flute or like another instrument, and then there is the emotions. And that is the interesting part, because the emotions eventually are the portal to the spirit.
Oh.
That is the interesting thing about this whole composition of Hadra meditation.
And it's really exciting to even think that this is this kind of work is becoming so popular now, but that it all points back to our own system. Nothing that's outside of us. That's really learning how to use this body that we've been in the whole time, but
Yes.
coming to understand it differently and how to use it in an optimal way. That fascinates me. And I'm really curious too, the two of you, especially because you practice together, thinking about that emanation of energy that's created from what it is you're generating and then what expresses. I've told this story before, but the short version is, you remind me, Susanna, many years ago, and this is before I ever did energy work. I was at a wine bar, actually, and I saw a poster that there was a Buddhist poet going to be at a bookstore signing books. And for some reason, I thought, let's just go. Let's see. So my friend and I, we leave the wine bar, we go, and there's a line. I'm like the longest line to see this woman, but you could feel something. And so I was telling my friend, and we're, down the block, and I'm like, do you feel that? And as you got closer to the building, you could feel the impression stronger and stronger. So when I finally stood right in front of the woman, I literally tilted my head like a dog, like confused, like, what is this that's coming off of this woman, And years later, when I started energy work, I realized you could feel that love emanating from this woman from beyond the building she was in. I mean, it still
Wow.
blows my mind to even think of it. Yeah. So I'm curious, because the two of you get to practice together. Do you ever do like a kind of synchronized thing, or do you feel each other while you're practicing?
yeah.
How does that work?
Oh yeah, we, as I said, we're in each other's field.
Yes.
Not just sitting here
Yes.
shoulder to shoulder, but wherever we are. But we meditate together, and we like to sit across from each other, facing each other, so the breath can go back and forth. And imagine that as you breathe out, energy's coming out of your heart, which it is, of course. Mm-hmm. But by thinking about it, it gets stronger. So this field of energy that the heart creates is manageable. That is, you can send it, and you can make it stronger.
Yes.
I mean, when we're doing healing, whatever method of healing you're using, the energy that's coming out of your hands is coming from your heart. Mm-hmm. Because the heart generates 99% of the magnetic energy around the body. Mm-hmm. So it's the heart's energy you're using. It would be good to be conscious of that, and to think about, well, how can I breathe in such a way that I increase this heart energy? Well, we can talk more about the healing method later, but when we are face to face, we actually imagine now, not only are we sending energy, but we're breathing in the heart energy of the other person. Mm-hmm. So it makes a bidirectional link. I'm sending energy from me, my heart, to her heart, and I'm drawing energy from her heart to my heart. So it's a bidirectional link, like a two-lane highway of energy, you see. And across that bridge of energy, consciousness comes. So I begin to feel what she feels, and she feels what I feel. Mm-hmm. Our internal states become merged or even switched, so that we can really experience the inside of the other person What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What is their soul like? And you can really experience another person through this energy exchange.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just thinking, obviously, this would be beneficial for all of us. But who do you find tends to come? Do people tend to come when there's like a catalyst of stress, or they've just like hit a wall, other healing methods haven't worked? Or do you find now that people are just trying to figure out how to be more balanced day to day?
There's two things they come. One is when for some reason their heart's opened up. Sometimes this happens. Life happens like that, and something happens that moves you deeply, and you find a new access to reality that you didn't know about before. And like everything changes from black and white to technicolor, and you're in a different world, and now you've got to figure out what is this. And so people come to us at that point. We call that step 4. And then people come at step 6, which is where they've been through a great success in their life. They've accomplished a lot of things. They've done what they wanted to do. And it's like, is that all? Is this it? Is there anything else? What's next? And this is, the mystics have called this the dark night of the soul, where things, it's like you're at the end of what you understand. Your vision of realities that so far has worked seems to be no longer functioning. It's like, that doesn't really relate. The things that I've come to understand, I remember this state very well. The things that I had understood from science no longer explained what was going on in my life.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense anymore. I could feel there was some greater sense, but I didn't know what that was. And the sense that it made to my mind wasn't reasonable. And that's a time when one has to look for something else. Now the seeker becomes really desperate. Like, I've got to find an answer to this, to get out of this state of just confusion and despair and being lost. And then there's a breakthrough that comes where you discover the world that's infinite and eternal and is much bigger than self. You go beyond the self and you find this opening to the universe. And that happens, it can happen a number of ways, but we work it through the heart. If you go deep into your heart, you find not just your heart, but the heart of everyone is in the depths of your own heart.
That sounds
so
incredible.
Beautiful. Yes. I was going to ask you too, Susanna. It's funny when you're describing in the beginning, saying like, I was so full of myself. I was like, I'm teaching you. What can you help me with, And I think of how a lot of us, depending on what we feel we may have accomplished or where we are in life, whatever it may be, a lot of times we are very full of ourselves in various ways. So I'm curious how this has had an effect on you too. Now with practicing for so many years, hindsight, how has it changed you at all?
Oh, big time. Where should we start? Well, because from what he said, I wanted to say something to that, like what people we attract.
Yes.
But I'm not sure if that's important. I do in our school, I'm the director of the mentor training and mentor department. We with heart rhythm meditation, because it works with emotion and with the spiritual development. So often people come with us with health problems, with real physical heart health problems. And it's very helpful when one starts heart rhythm meditation before one has heart problems. And a lot of people have tendencies to that, because of the stress that is out in there and the incredible changes that the whole world goes through. It's not just America. America is often at the foreground of all the difficulties and is the leader often in the world. It's very helpful, because AFib, arrhythmia, and strokes and all these are all heart-related, heart attacks. It's very helpful to do heart rhythm meditation before. And most of the time people do exercise, physical exercise. And if the emotions are not taken care of, the heart goes ballistic. The emotions are the problems, not the cholesterol, and not God knows what they all blame on the heart attacks, on the stents they get, it's the emotions.
Yes.
Do you see? And so this is very important to know how to take care of oneself emotional. And that's what we do in heart rhythm meditation, that people have mentors or coaches. And when people start heart rhythm meditation, this path, we say, from here to here is much longer time-wise than this little distance here. So people in our school, they're with us for 20, 30 years. Because they themselves become mentors and teachers, just like in Reiki, right? You start off with a little session with your hands above your head, and then you become like you, Yolanda. You start a whole podcast and start teaching and doing the work. So similar here, and it's really going through that transformation over time. So what it has done for us in our relationship, I said this morning to my husband, because we are together for 40 plus years, and the work has changed us a lot, and we went through a lot of different stressors to building up the organization, because we started this organization in 1989, we incorporated it, and we actually had to build up the first 10 years. We really built just heart rhythm meditation, this practice which we described to you, this breathing and connecting with the heart. Because when you are in the physical body, in meditation, and you described this a little bit too, it's very different than when you leave your body. So, and when you deal with the emotions, that's very different. So to make ourselves comfortable with that practice and then teach it had a lot of effects. And then we started doing group practices, where we had 50 people in a room. And what effect does this have when you feel the energy of 50 people that sit and their body is affected? And what we have then learned too, we started then doing heart energy healing, and that we brought in because the meditation is for a lot of people not that easy. It sounds very easy. Well, sit, breathe. There's your heart. And so we learned if we do heart energy healing, people can lay down, and we use the pulsed electromagnetic energy through our palms, and we don't touch people, similar as in Reiki, and the emotional body opens up, and we could work this. And we did a lot of healing on each other, and we still do it. This
Every
is
day.
our favorite practice at lots of times. Whatever we have, if we have had COVID, it's important for people to know when you do deep work and when you're a master of that work, that you're not exempt.
Right.
We don't even look for being exempt. We look for being happy, healthy, and wealthy, and live this life fully, to the fullest, without fear, without trying to really find the joyous life in this kind of environment that we have. So there is too the breathing. We do our meditations most of the time at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's because that's when you have time, really.
Yeah.
It's when the day starts. All the responsibilities start pulling on you.
Yeah, people say, I don't have time to do meditation. And I say, really, what are you doing at 3 o'clock in the morning? You busy then?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I get up at 4:30 and people are like, that's too early. 3. That would be, I'm going to challenge myself and try to do that this week and see how that goes.
Well, we go back to sleep afterwards. We only meditate for an hour or so.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you that too. You practice, because sometimes people hear practice and they think it's just maybe at 3 a.m, like once in the day. But can you describe, I imagine you're practicing technically throughout the day, even as you're living life. So could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, one of the biggest changes that's happened to us over the years has been our capacity to handle stress. You can't really avoid stress because it's everywhere. You don't even want to, because stress actually is a growth stimulant. It encourages you to grow. So thing is to handle stress. And so we talk about the capacity for stress. How much stress can you handle before you say, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Well, that capacity can grow. And so we deal with stuff now all the time that other people that would just, used to freak us out. Well, it doesn't anymore because we have this like a power of the heart. It's amazing. So we meditate in the middle of the night, oftentimes then again in the morning, and then we go about our work. Well, our work is writing, talking to people, doing interviews, and oftentimes in the middle of that we'll be meditating, because this method is always available, right? You've always got your heartbeat, and you just can feel it as I'm in a business meeting, maybe I can feel my heartbeat, and then I'm thinking, well, how am I breathing? Oh, I see. I'm getting a little bit anxious. My breathing is too fast. You can slow down the pace of the whole meeting, like a whole room full of people can be, frustrated and upset, and one person breathing consciously can change the whole room.
Yeah.
So we're doing a lot of that kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah. So during the day, we don't go together and meditate. We have our rhythm during the day, but I meditate sometimes 10 times a day and sometimes 3 times a day.
Yeah.
It's as need comes, you feel like I'm running out of energy. Then you sit down and I meditate 5 minutes and I move on. There's too that we do regular retreats. We have personal, individual retreats where we have a retreat room that also people can come and be in that retreat room. They get their food, but we ourselves do this too. We go on 7-day retreats or 10-day retreats. We do for other people longer retreats too. We sort of are very versed in retreats. In our training with our teacher, we did long-time retreats. And so now when we do a 7-day retreat, that's for us a long retreat.
Yes.
Those are the ones we do. But we have done 3-week retreats for people.
Wow.
There's the famous 40-day retreat. I'm not sure if you heard of those.
No.
Right? Yeah.
Wow.
And they especially, there's a spiritual reason too that we live in the desert, because the desert challenges you in different ways than the ocean.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
No, it does. I used to live in the desert in California. Yes, it's challenging in different ways. Another thing I wanted to ask before we get into the school and the upcoming events, you have 2 different books, like we mentioned in the beginning. So you have Living from the Heart, A Guide to Heart Rhythm Meditation, but then you also have Energize Your Heart in 4 Dimensions. And I know your work also includes working with the 4 elements. So could you talk a little bit about that tie-in, how the elements come into play?
Yeah, we've been fortunate to be exposed to a lot of scientists that have instruments that you can't just own yourself. Like a thing called a squid, which is a very expensive, low temperature thing that measures magnetic fields. And they have one of these at MIT that I was observing, and so the magnetic field generated by the heart is measurable, and it's measurable at a distance. You see, so knowing this, we thought, well, is it always all around you, or does it have a shape? Because theoretically, it would be in all directions the same because it's coming out of a single source. But it turns out that the shape of the magnetic field is really individual. Different people have maybe more to the right, more to the left, more to the front, maybe more above, more below. And that shape indicates like their whole energy of being is there in that picture. And it's changeable. You can change it. So if you want to get along with people more, you need more width. You need a heart that can basically embrace people,
Yeah.
like big arms. and the field actually gets wider. And if you want to drive your work forward, you need an energy field that projects forward, so that you're sending energy into your work and into the environment. And again, this is measurable stuff. You can measure, is the field, how big is it forward, how compared to the sides. So our second book is about that, about the shape of the magnetic field.
Let me say something to that. So what he's talking about, which people are maybe more familiar with it, when you have not this width of the heart, this magnetic field is wide, you have a narrow heart. Because the field doesn't go out. And one understands this because you know those people who are greedy and they don't understand you. They are just narrow.
Yeah.
And that's the heart. And that field one can change. Or you can say, some people, they have no depth. They just talk. And you're like, you are boring. Are you aware of that? They don't know how to be vulnerable.
Right.
And that's the depth of the heart. They cannot be in touch with their pain and with their woundedness. That's the depth of the heart. And that shows in the field. Or the height of the heart, when you don't have any hope, any inspiration, any faith. That's the height of the heart. That no matter what happens, if they throw out bombs and nuclear, God knows what, it will be still okay. I'm going to be alive and happy, whatever happens. And the back of the heart, this is where people say, you got my back, right? And that can be a spiritual being. That doesn't have to be a physical being. That can be an invisible being, right? Our guides.
Yes.
They come through the back of the heart. And some people, that's just flat there because you can feel all that. Do you see? And so this
with your hands.
With your hands. You can go like this and measure what goes on with this field. And that's the way where you give them practices to people that help them to open that heart into the forward dimension, because they figured out through their meditation, I have to create, I don't know what, a compost machine,
build something.
right? We just had somebody on retreat, and he works with the AI. He's a real big manager in an AI company. And he says, we have so much to do because this world is changing so fast. So his forward dimension was so strong. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
So this is what you really feel and experience.
I
What
can't
else did you
tell
wanna
you,
say?
I'm so excited to have met you two. I have to say, I'm sorry, Puran. I just, it's interesting because I've been saying a lot recently how interested I am in going deeper into my heart intelligence, and not just surface level. I mean, really deep in there, and understanding, more of compassion and this unconditional love and these sorts of things.
Yes,
And
yes.
the way that you're describing it, it's just, I'm looking forward to diving into your work. I'm sorry, what were you going to say, Puran?
I don't know.
You were
Was
describing
it about
the
the
school
elements?
Oh, yes.
Elements,
Thank
yes.
you. You mentioned elements. So the energy of the elements is key to developing the different dimensions of the heart.
Yes.
The elements
You
have
can
different
breathe.
direction. Like the fire element goes up, and the water element comes down, and the earth element is stable. It goes sideways, and the air element goes whatever it wants to do, like zigzag, like lightning. So each of these creates an energy flow inside the person, and that energy flow we experience as emotion. So if you have rising energy, you'll have rising emotions like joy and optimism. And if you have descending energy, you'll have descending emotions like compassion and vulnerability and like being genuine, being real. And so on. So that's what that book's about how the elements affect the dimensions. But of course, it's not just theory, because what good would that be?
Right.
We need practices that change these things. How do you develop these different parts of your energy field? And how do you change yourself, really? That's the big question. Well, traditionally in spirituality, the first big question is, who am I, right? Really. But the next question, which I think is very interesting, is how can I change myself?
To become that.
Yeah, but to become that which I'm discovering is possible.
Yes.
And that's where you need method and a teacher and practices and a tradition. And, you don't invent this from scratch. You work on what's been handed to us for thousands of years.
Right. And to finish this dimension, in a way, it's very simple. In the end, when you really learn it, it's 4 breaths, the 4 elements. This is the water element. It goes into the height and into the depth. This is the earth element. It goes horizontal. The fire element comes from the back forward. And the air element is just inward. So, and there is a breathing practice to it, the slow, full, deep breath. But once you breathe in through the mouth, once out through the mouth, once in through the nose, out through the mouth, it has this kind of squares. And in the beginning, you would think, what are we doing here? What difference does it make? But if you practice this for some time, you feel like inhaling through the nose is very different than inhaling through the mouth.
Right.
Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
And so that all these combinations of it. So we usually in meditation, we breathe in and out through the nose because it's more filtered. But when we do elements, all of a sudden, when I do fire element, I inhale through my mouth. And it's like, whoa, it makes such a difference. And most of the time people say, oh, relax and breathe deeply. Just open your mouth. Yeah, that helps, but can you do that all the time? There's this kind of science about it that it really matters when I exhale through the mouth, because it's like a big release. And do I want to release all that? Do you see? Because if I hold it in, the energy is very different. You cannot just always say, release it. This is like when you say, okay, you can just spit it all out. That's sometimes very impolite. You know what I mean? Energetically, when you get more refined and work all this out, then you just need to learn how to hold the breath too.
Yes.
Which we do very strongly. We have some breathing practices where you just have to hold twice as long as you inhale or exhale. And that creates power. The heart has power and courage. That's such an important thing to know. It's not just all... That is when people don't know how to deal with stress.
Yes, you just reminded me when we're done recording, there's someone I want to tell you about. In any case, I would love to know now, because time goes so fast.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit about your school, which, just so everyone knows, of course, the link is down in the show description, but also here on the screen, iamheart.org. And if you put iamheart.org/gift, there are some gifts available. But could you tell us about the school and what we can learn?
Yeah. This is a school with an app. So we have an app for the phones, and the app is called Breath and Heart. And if you go to this website address here, you'll see all that. But the app is available for free, and it's the only app which gives you the heart rate variability measurement for free. It has hundreds of meditations in it, all about the heart, using this same method, heart rhythm meditation. And the way the app works is you put your finger on the camera lens, and it actually measures your heartbeat. It turns out your pulse, your finger color changes slightly every time your heart beats, and the camera picks that up and says, your heart just gave a beat. And then it calculates from that, how to breathe, shows you how to breathe from that. We have also a studio where live teachers are teaching, and you can talk to them. I mean, they're available, and you meet every day with a teacher at different times of the day. Mm-hmm. And then we have classes. Some classes are short, like a weekend. Some are longer, for like 8 weeks. And we have a class that's 2 years long.
Wow.
So, it's in a substantial school now. We've been doing this for a long time. And of course, we didn't really build all this ourselves. This is all part of a tradition that's very, very old.
Right. And people can come in person for the retreats, obviously, but online we
Yes.
can learn as well.
That's right. Most of our work is done online.
Yes.
We have people all over the world, and some of them are doing local classes.
Our
but
teachers.
people that have come to the level of being a teacher of the method. But you can join a Zoom class from anywhere.
Yes. The power of Zoom that we've all.
It's wonderful.
It
It's wonderful.
really is. Yes. And I wanted to ask as well with the books, does it matter which order we go in? Would you recommend that someone reads Living from the Heart first, or that you can start with either one and still understand?
Yeah, they came many years apart, so the second book is more recent.
Okay.
It might be more interesting in some ways if you're interested in the shape of the field. The first book is more about the method itself.
Okay.
And we actually have a third book, which is about describing the path of life. What is the sequence of steps that people go through as they evolve through enlightenment and beyond enlightenment to illumination? What are those steps like? And it turns out those steps are encoded in the labyrinth. The 11-ring labyrinth is a model of the steps of life. And we talk about that in our third book, which is called Follow Your Heart.
And that book is already available
Yeah.
as well?
Mhm.
Okay.
It is.
I'm going to put that down in the links down as well. Follow your heart. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say I'm so thankful again. And you never know, when you are going to meet new people, what you'll learn and how the conversation will go. And it was so lovely being able to meet and speak with both of you today. And I want to thank you for all that you shared. I feel like I just had a class in a way. But yes, I just want to encourage everyone again, make sure you visit iamheart.org/gift. The links to connect with Susanna and Puran are down in the show description. And of course, we'll put the information for the app as well. That sounds very cool. But thank you so much for joining me today.
It was fun, Yolanda, and thank you for the great work you do. You're a really great interviewer.
Thank you.
It's fun talking with you.
I can tell you're an experienced host. You really know your stuff.
You know
Thank
your
you.
stuff, yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Many blessings to you, Yolanda.
You as
Thank you.
well.
Yeah, many.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, beautiful alchemist. I want to thank Susanna and Puran for joining us today and sharing their work with us about heart rhythm meditation. Don't forget, if you want to learn more about their work, go to iamheart.org. The links to their website and their books are down in the show description. Also want to remind you, you do not want to miss the masterclass weekend that we are having November 21st to the 23rd. The link to get your ticket, all access pass, is down in the show description. You get to come join us live, but you also have access to the recordings of all of the master classes, and there are 9 of them, to really expand your understanding and practice within the realm of energy work. It's going to be so much fun. And if you want to join me for online group mentoring and more fun throughout 2026, you want to join the Alchemy Circle. I'm sure you've heard about this for years. It is something that I have been offering since 2020, and it really is an honor to work with people so closely and intimately for an entire year so that I can witness your growth, but also work with you more directly to really support you in the arts of energetic alchemy. So registration for the Alchemy Circle is open, and if you register by November 5th, you can also join me. You'll be automatically registered for Intuitive Mastery, which is live, and it is a 12-week class. So much for you to click on and enjoy. Be sure to register down in the show description. I think that is all for now. Of course, if you want to know about the energy of October, don't forget to watch the energy of the month video. When you go to my website, theenergeticalchemist.com. Be sure to sign up for the newsletter while you're there, because you get access to the monthly Energy of the Month updates, but you also get free access to some other downloads that support your path of energetic alchemy. So while you're there signing up for the Alchemy Circle and registering for the Masterclass weekend, be sure to register for the free alchemical news so that you can get some free downloads as well. All right, that is all for this week. I will see you all very soon. And remember to always journey in love.